Well, the now infamous letter from the National School Boards Association comparing concerned parents to domestic terrorists was apparently solicited by Education Secretary Miguel Cardona through a Freedom of Information Act request. Emails between members of the NSBA have surfaced, which say Secretary Cardona asked for the letter. A spokesperson for the Department of Education has denied this allegation. And joining me now to discuss this is Thomas Carroll, Superintendent of Schools for the Archdiocese of Boston. Thomas, welcome back. Always so good to see you. First off, I want to get your thoughts on this new revelation. What do you think this signals, especially to parents?
Yeah, first of all, I don't get in the middle of politics, but what I would say is the Catholic Church's position, the view of our Catholic schools is parents are the first educators of their children. They deserve to have a voice. I take calls of all hours a day, 7 days a week from parents of one concern or another, and have been confronted at meetings from time to time. But I take that as a sign, a good sign of the passion that parents have about their children. There's nothing wrong with it. We welcome it. And I think that's the way it should be perceived by anybody who's in the education business or anybody who's in politics, which is that children belong to the parents and parents have a right to express their view, and that view should be respected.
Yeah, as we know, it's really certainly been a challenging time, for parents, for children, and also educators. And now we have this new Omicron variant, which we know is highly infectious and causing some public schools to go back to remote learning. How are you able to balance safety with your students' educational needs while keeping them in the classroom?
Yeah, our mantra is stay open and stay healthy. We want to stay open at all costs, any way we possibly can. Last school year, when the districts were closed, we were open all year long, and we're doing the same this year. It is becoming challenging. Omicron is, even though it's a less virulent virus than what came before it, every time somebody gets it, they're out for 5 days at a minimum. And so it's becoming, from time to time, we have a lot of teachers out or a lot of students out because of the virus. We've been able to contain the spread within our schools. So all the cases we're getting are from outside. We have virtually no spread within our buildings, and we're trying to keep the numbers down, because if everybody follows the rules, which we did last year, we'll be able to keep the schools open. Here or there, somebody might have to close for a day or two, but this whole idea of an entire city closing down schools in our entire school district, I think does an incredible disservice to children. There's no doubt that children are better off being in school than not. And so the kind of remote education that's occurred in a lot of districts has led to a tremendous learning loss in district schools in many, many cases, particularly in urban areas. We avoided that in Catholic schools because we stayed open. Our teachers want to be in school. They're not haggling to get out of school. Our kids want to be in school, and their parents want the children in school. And so everybody's working together to keep school open.
That's wonderful. The Biden administration announced that it's going to send out millions more of rapid COVID and PCR tests to schools. What do you think of that strategy? I mean, do you think that will help to prevent going back to remote learning?
So I think it's important if people have any symptoms to get tested, because the last thing we want is somebody who has any form of COVID being in a classroom spreading it to other kids. The very practical thing from somebody running, we have 101 schools in the Archdiocese of Boston, is we have to have enough teachers who aren't sick in order to run all the classes that the children are in. So that's why we are urging parents to get tested whenever either they or their children are potentially sick, because we have to make sure that we can keep the classrooms operational. So if you want us to stay open, you got to help us keep your kids healthy. So that's what we keep advising the parents. And the parents understand that. They're from time to time, they have to do things that they don't like, that we don't like, that nobody likes. But the reality is the highest priority here for all of us is keeping the schools open so the kids can learn and they can be with so they can be with each other and with their teachers. That's the highest priority for us.
Yeah, indeed. We have probably less than about a minute or so left, but I do want to ask you this. Because of the pandemic and various other issues, a number of public school districts saw their enrollment decline, and parents opted to put their children in Catholic schools or private schools, or even homeschooling gain traction as well. Do you think that we'll see that trend continue? And also, what are you seeing at the Archdiocese of Boston as far as enrollment numbers?
Sure. We took a big hit when the pandemic first hit because a lot of people found themselves unemployed. They couldn't afford to pay tuition, even though our tuition is very affordable. And so we took a hit initially. But since July of 2020, when the teachers unions of Massachusetts announced that they were going remote that year, we've been on a tear. We gained 4,400 students that year. And this year, when a lot of people thought those parents would go back to public schools, we got even more. So we added another 1,300. This is in a context which for 60 years all across the country, Catholic enrollment has dropped from more than 5 million students down to 1.6 million students. So the trend here has been pretty negative for a long time. But since last summer, it's been going really well in terms of enrollment. We're happy to have these new students. They're happy to be there. And we look forward to keeping schools open so that we can educate them and they can be with their friends and with their teachers as well.
Well, Thomas, unfortunately, we have to leave it right there. But thank you so much for speaking with us today, and we wish you continued success. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.